What's up, Buffalo Bill fans? It's been a while. Definitely, it's been a while. And, here we go again. Next Monday will be, by this time, probably into the third quarter of the first game of the Bills season. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it. Even though there's been a lot of drama surrounding the team as of late. We'll talk about that definitely in a second. The whole Turk Schonert firing, which I thought was hilarious because I didn't see the big deal. I mean, who cares? I mean, it's not like this team was gangbusters last year and they were firing like for instance, let me find a really great offensive coordinator who would have gotten fired and everybody would have been like in total shock. Like back in the day, it was a little more like if the 49ers in the 95 season fired Mike Shanahan out of nowhere, and everybody would have been shocked. I mean, Turk Schonert, the guy never should have been hired in the first. His very hiring was laughable. So was Dick Duran's. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Mike Mularkey was going to go ahead and be the coach, but they had to find a last-minute replacement or go Dick Duran. But I'm still not a fan of this guy, even though you guys know that. This guy has fired himself plenty of times in the last 3 seasons with Buffalo, and I think this move is really an indication of how much. I mean, they should have been this whole staff should have been let go last year. But, again, Ralph doesn't like paying people not to work for him. And here's a situation with Schonert. This is the funny thing is, the Bills organization, I hate to say it, Bills fans, it's one of the more laughable organizations in football. It really is. I mean, firing your offensive coordinator, a week before the season starts. I mean, what a joke. The fact the guy was hired is a joke. They were so. Remember that whole thing was the. Oh God, I know you'll puke when you guys hear this one, Bills fans, because it was the word that all they could talk about was continuity. Look where continuity got you. 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. And you hire this guy for continuity and you fire him a week before a season. Means nothing. The bottom line is, can these guys execute on Sundays on the field? Not in the classroom or in a playbook. I don't care how Turk can go to the media and say well, my offense was too complicated for Dick and he wants a simpler offense. Well, dude, you know what? Your offense wasn't that great. Personally, I think him and Dick really they fired themselves definitely during the Jets game with that brilliant call, and I can almost guarantee that was probably Turk's call, but Dick, tried to save his job, which he did, and he ended up firing the guy. The fact the guy was hired was incredible. I mean, there was no indication that anything that this guy had done prior to his hiring by Buffalo as their offensive coordinator was going to indicate success for this team on the field. Nothing. If you look at the teams that he's been a quarterback coach for, Tampa, Carolina, the Giants before they had just even Buffalo, but that's when they were using the Doug Flutie's more unique talents to be successful in that time period, and the whole Rob Johnson thing was a disaster. But nothing that this guy had ever done had ever indicated that he was going to be successful. And we've seen the really good, bright offensive coordinators nowadays. The trend is they're usually really young guys, early 30s, between the early to late 30s. They're really young guys. Turk's 52. Sorry, and then they go on about revolving this offense around a no huddle. I mean, what is this? I mean, you see the great teams in this league and the teams that are successful, they can do a little bit of everything. They can go grind it out, go on a long 8+ play drive that'll eat up 5+ minutes of a clock. They can go no huddle and quick strike you 3-4 plays, bang. They can no huddle you. They can they can just mix it up. You can't sit here and assume that this whole thing's going to work, and it's shown in the preseason it hasn't. Or, albeit it's the preseason. I mean, when Buffalo went to the 4 Super Bowls, they didn't win a game in the preseason. I think they went 0-4 every year in the preseason. I think that's actually a fact too, that they did not win one game in the preseason during all the Super Bowl years. Fine, lose every game in the preseason, but you do want to see him perform a little better. Other than that, I'm just ready to get the season started. I don't care who's calling the plays. It doesn't matter. As long as the play is executed correctly in the field, it doesn't matter. You could have the best play call in the world, and if it's not executed correctly, it's not going to work. There's 16 new guys on the team this year. No real shockers. I think the only real shocker was the releasing of Dominic Rhodes. That was a pretty big shock. I guess they were sold on Ullman. They liked what they saw from him. He looked a lot faster. Definitely a lot faster in the preseason games I saw him. He played with a little bit more get up in his step. The offensive line is still wait and see. I mean, it's a all new interior. Hangartner, Levitri, Wood, they look to be pretty stout. I was a little shocked to see Chambers get cut, but something about him at guard I just don't like. He just doesn't. I prefer him more at tackle. He does a pretty decent job at tackle, but I think their whole thing is they're really sold on Demetrius Bell. They're definitely sold on him, and I think Buffalo's done a good job of scouting low-tier talent in terms of like small schools and getting them to come in and produce. They've actually done a good job over the years. Ellis Langster is another guy who, not a small school guy, but lower end draft pick, made the team. Ashley Palmer, a guy who was an original free agent, makes the team. I liked him coming out of Ole Miss. I thought he was a good athletic linebacker. It kind of fits what the Bills do. Nick Harris, Bugs, they are all new, make the team. They keep Hardy on IR, which I'm totally in agreement with. I mean, if you could stash him on IR, save his roster spot, let him heal up an extra couple of months, that's definitely worth it. The Lynch suspension, I think, hurts. Even though I like Fred Jackson, I'd love to have Marshawn in there. 11 defensive backs is definitely crazy. I remember last year they had a problem with injuries at that position. They were pretty banged up. I think it first started with McGee. He sprained his knee, went out for a little while. Then Bodie had the foot problem, and he was gone for the rest of the season. And then Greer with a knee, so that they were definitely not going to allow the backfield to suffer. I mean, Maben, we have to like what we saw from Maben. Definitely guy getting back there, disrupted, making plays. They kept Schobel out the last few games, which I agree with. If he's going to blow his tank, I'd rather it be in games that count. Bird even made a pick. So we see this team, 45 active on Sunday. See how they go, and hopefully they can get some things done and maybe go into New England and shock them. Who wouldn't like that? Us Bills fans would definitely love that. But I think we could definitely see some positives, hopefully. The tight end position worries me a little bit. The linebacker depth worries me a little bit. Running back, obviously, Fred Jackson, and being the only guy back there who's really going to be capable of doing anything. I mean, McIntyre is there more or less for special teams prowess. So we'll see what happens, Bills fans. Hopefully we'll get this season started off in the right direction and continue it instead of starting off in the right direction and just basically bottoming out, because the weapons are there. Hopefully the offensive line can gel correctly. The defense can create some pressure on the quarterback, because it's the same thing. Just put points up get in the red zone and score touchdowns instead of field goals. Put pressure on the quarterback and create turnovers. That's it. I mean, it's pretty much the recipe for success for every NFL team. Score touchdowns when you're in the red zone, put pressure on the opposing quarterback, and create turnovers and dissension. That's it. And hopefully this team can do that. and hopefully they can get in there and these rookies can get a good dogfight with New England and see what it's like, and get their feet wet, and then they go play a couple of softer defensive teams, I think, in Tampa and in New Orleans. I think maybe we can get off to a good start of the season. I think if they go in there and give New England a game and possibly beat them, I'm not gonna, I do want them to beat them, but I gotta hold my breath with that one. And hopefully we can get the season. They can get the season off on the right foot and continue it, and continue it. That's what that's what we're looking for. But until then, Bills fans, next Monday will definitely be the time, 7 o'clock. I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot of good things this season, and we'll just have a real fruitful season. And until then, you guys have a good one. Take care.